Hey, it's Chris from Poseidon here. Going to do a review on the new Ozone Alpha V3 kite, which has just come out. It's Ozone's single strut offering, which is pitched as their ultra lightweight, low end focus, travel friendly, free ride, foil or wave kite. It's in its third version now, but this time it's entered into their Ultra X sub-range, which ultimately means they're using their higher grade materials, their more performance focused technologies and seam cutting to make this kite something which stands above some of the other kites in their range in terms of its performance and what it's designed for. Slightly less budget friendly by making this choice, but it's going to give its kind of dedicated rider a little bit more performance of what they're looking for. So it's a single strut design. It's super lightweight. First of all, by shaving off those extra struts, that's straight away going to cut weight, which all of the Alpha versions have been. But in this new Ultra X iteration in the V3, they're using their new lighter weight Dacron material, very similar to Duratone's SLS material. It's lighter weight and it's stiffer, which allows them to change some of its dimensions a little bit. But it means that the kite, when you feel it and you pick it up, is so much lighter than any of their other Alphas which have come out. They're using their transverse sail shaping, which ultimately means they're cutting their panels curved, which means that and they did this on their second version, it means that the panel layout is a lot more direct and a lot more taut. So as you're moving it through the air, there's not segmented sections which are disrupting airflow and creating disruption across the canopy. It feels tight all the way through. That's something that they entered in on their second version, and it made a huge difference from the V1 to the V2. Whereas the V1, which is very similar to the Catalyst V3, the Alpha this is, they felt quite similar. The V2, once they introduced this new curved shaping of the panels, it stayed taut and it was a very good free ride kite, and it could do just about all sorts of riding style really well, but it was very lightweight. What they've done on this V3 is they've kept all that technology, they've boosted it up with their Dacron material, but they've clearly focused this V3 on a dedicated sort of rider. So whereas the V2, there was almost a bit of a crossover between, do you choose the Catalyst or do you choose the Enduro, because the Alpha V2, I guess, kind of bridged the gap between them, and it was actually quite suitable for twin tip riding, for wave riding, for learning, for foiling. What this is it's tuned very clearly to be ridden underpowered, and it's got loads and loads of bottom end grunt and torque to get you up and going. And the way it's balanced in the sky is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, Ozone have a lot of experience over the years with developing their wings, and I think the Rio's always stood out as a kite that's really well refined and really balanced in how it flies. And I'd say this goes a next level up in terms of its stability in the sky. At no point when the wind's fluky, when you slack line it, when you fully depower it really quickly, or you fully sheet it in, does it feel like it's going to do something unpredictable and drop forwards out the sky or backwards out of the sky. It's so well refined. You know it's the sort of kite that you're going to be able to throw it through anywhere and it's not going to do anything unforgiving, which is why it's going to be such a good kite for foiling. It's going to shoot downwind dreamy, no dramas at all. It's not going to tip forwards out the sky. It's going to shoot upwind absolutely fine. It's going to get you going when you're super underpowered, but it creates a lot of apparent wind and it's very efficient. So it's a very good kite for foiling. It's going to be very good if you're the sort of rider, like a lightweight rider that wants to get up on a twin tip and you're in your early stages, but you don't want to go for one of the budget options. You want to go for something which is going to stay with you a little bit longer. This is going to be really good for that. Or if you're into wave riding and the stiffer feel of the Rio with its extra strut isn't what you're looking for and you want something which is very lightweight, this is absolutely going to do that. So they've tuned it into that underpowered, wrong to say light wind riding because it's all relative to the size you're using, but it definitely likes to feel underpowered and get you going really early, really torquey, really good. which comes at a little bit of a compromise at its top end. And one of the things I think the V2 stood out really well at as being really versatile at lending itself to twin tip riding and jumps and freestyle, with this focus of an increased bottom end through its design, through its shape, through its fabric choice. They've compromised a little bit of top end performance. And so you take this out really powered up, and whilst it can handle it and whilst it feels like you're not going to get in any problems, it definitely isn't designed for it. So without those extra struts on the side and the way that the canopy's been tuned and the way it's got a very deep belly, it flutters a lot. And when it's depowered, it goes very loose through the canopy. You've still got a little bit of line tension, so you're able to steer the kite, but ultimately it doesn't like to be ridden fully maxed out and fully powered. And it's telling you that it doesn't like it. It's easy to overturn the kite when you're fully maxed out. And with that fluttering canopy, it might not come back in front of you. With the jumping, with the sending it around, it's very, very forgiving as long as you've got the bar very tight. And if you do over send it behind you, you can bring it back very easy. And that power's redelivery is very forgiving. But when you're maxed out and you've got that bar depowered, it's probably less forgiving to redirecting forwards again. So it's not a kite if you're into powered up twin tip riding or if that's where you want to go. It's also probably not the right kite if you're into foil riding and you want to send big jumps. And I found when you take it through loops, whereas maybe the older version carried its power sort of through and has started to carry its power out of the loop, this one, which is designed to be ridden a little bit more underpowered and perform to be underpowered, when you take it through that loop, it definitely falters as it hits its full power stroke in the power zone, and it doesn't drive itself out of there, which you can't fault it for, because that's not what it's designed for. If that's what you're looking for, if that's the sort of kite you want, then you're either going to go with the Rio, you're going to go with the Enduro, you might even go with the Vortex, which is a phenomenal foiling kite, if you're looking for that top end performance and that drive. But where this kite stands out to me is if you're looking for light, underpowered performance, foiling, twin tip riding, wave riding, the characteristics of how it behaves is absolutely amazing. So consider when you're picking your size quiver that you might need a couple of them. A 2 kite quiver, depending on your location and your weight and your riding style, 2 kites might be a struggle. You might be looking at 3 kites. Also consider slightly sizing down to make sure that you're not ending up in a situation where you're maxed out and that you're in that situation where it's not designed for that. But as long as you're using within its parameters, the Ozone Alpha V3, a really beautiful piece of kit for wave riding and foiling and blasting around, feeling comfortable. Well worth checking out. I'm Chris at Poseidon. If you want to try it, if you want to get your own, give us a shout. Poseidon-watersports.com.